तरसती वरदानों की ये बारिश हर घड़ी बरसती हर घड़ी बरसती सर्वस्व पारने को दिल ये चाहता है तुमको निहारने को दिल ये चाहता है तुम सामने हमारे तुम साथ में हमारे तो भी पुकारने को दिल ये चाहता
Om Shanti, Sister Maureen.
Om Shanti, lovely to be with all of you deities.
Yes, this is today is our Raja Sabha, royal court, and everyone has been crowned in the early morning at Amritvela itself. And everyone is waiting to receive our special queen from Australia.
I'm very happy to be with all of you because, you know, I was there in the very beginning with Sister Seema. So the memories are very beautiful.
Yes, Sister Seema is here to welcome you.
I welcome you.
Beautiful.
Our
Thank you. Oh, where are my hands? Thank you. Beautiful flowers.
Yes. These are all natural flowers from Kandy. Yes. And also, not only just the flowers, we also want to you be with us in this royal court with the crown and also the garland of powers. So Sister Pavitra is here to crown you. So this is the crown for you.
I'll take my crown.
Yes.
Sure, the king
and
would
then
do it
the
like
garland.
that.
This is the
Beautiful.
garland. This garland is a garland of knowledge. Each one has different powers.
Right.
So this is the garland of knowledge. So you.
Thank you. Thank you, Baba.
Yes. So we actually gave the introduction of you to our family. In fact, last night, Sister Shrima was sharing her experience from Hong Kong and how she really got just touched by the first call to Hong Kong Center, and the call has been received by Sister Maureen and just said hello and invited Sister Shrima to the center with a very sweet voice, and just that sweet voice has really surrendered Sister Shrima to Baba for all this lifetime.
She's a great soul, really great.
Yes. So everyone is waiting, and in fact, we also have another student of yours from Australia, brother Rupa Singh. He also has taken course in Australia from you. Yes, this brother who is with the phone.
Yeah, yeah, I recognized you
has
actually.
taken course from you in Australia, and now he's with us. So you have given us beautiful flowers for this garden of Baba. Thank you so much, Sister Maureen.
But you all made it so big, the garden. I just sowed some seeds, but look how big your garden is.
Yes, we are waiting actually to receive you again before the end of this kalpa.
Yeah. Yeah.
So without taking much time, I kindly welcome Sister Maureen to enlighten us on the topic of living a natural yogi life. Over
Yes.
to you, sister.
Thank you. Yeah, of course. A natural life is an easy life. If we have to be under force or some kind of pressure to live this life, we can't sustain it. We won't last a very long time. So it's so important to make our life a natural yogi life. And, you know, when I started, I didn't have any belief in God, but I experienced
तुमको निहारने को
So
Sorry,
I
sister.
experienced Baba, and that was it. That was it. Really, on second lesson, I really knew this is what I've been looking for so many births. That was the feeling inside. And so experience is so important. And this is why Baba says we have to go into the deep recesses of our mind like a laboratory and really experiment and experience, because we know you can't make anyone believe in God. You can't make anyone love God. No one can make me love God or believe in God. It's my work. It's my kind of attention to awaken what is naturally within the self, because we also can't make ourselves do that if it's not our destiny, if it's not in our part, if it's not, you know, in our drama. So I think all of us can feel we are so fortunate that we are here today, because it's a lovely journey, a lovely path, and it gets better all the time, better and better. That's what I can assure all of you after all these years. So, of course, that love for Baba is the most important aspect of our life. And Baba always says that when there's love, there's no labor. So if we want a natural life, it has to be based on love. I don't think there's any other way that we can have a natural yogi life. But what is love? We have to ask that. What is love? It's said that love is recognition. So it's our work to know Baba as he is and what he is. So when we make that effort to know Baba through yoga, through the muli, through, you know, the family. So when we come to know Baba, only then we can really love Baba. And often Baba says, very few know me as I am and what I am. And so we know that there's so much more. If we think that we know Baba, then our relationship will become very dry, just like with, you know, husband and wife, with parents and children. There's this word familiarity. We can become familiar with Baba, but that's not the same as love. We can know Baba just like that, without any real experience. So the first and most important step is to love Baba and have that experience of loving Baba, and also experiencing Baba's love. Some might ask which comes first. It's hard to say. It's like when you fall in love, you fall in love. It's like recognition. So it's not that we have to wait for that experience from Baba. We can also love Baba, because he says the more you love me, the more I reciprocate, the more I give the return of that love. So the first and most important step of all is love. And for that, we have to underline, as Baba does so often, this word man manabhav. One Baba, to surrender my mind, to let my mind be the same as Baba's mind. Because, you know, if we say we love Baba, it's actually just words. We have to really make it practical and think deeply what that means. Like one time Baba said, the proof of love is to become equal. So if I say I love Baba, doesn't really mean much. But if I'm on that journey of becoming equal, that's really when the proof of my love is shown in my life. And we may feel, oh, it's a very high destination. How can we even speak about being equal to God? But it means to be like God. And to be like God means to be soul conscious. So it's actually all the same thing. But that love for Baba brings in such a sweet relationship into the whole aspect. I mean, we can be soul conscious and we can be pure and, you know, peaceful and happy, but it's really that connection and that relationship that brings the attainment and the sweetness in our life. And so to love Baba is to become equal to Baba. That is to give the proof of our love. So these are very important aspects of love, because even sometimes Brahmins will sit in Baba's room, you know, they have some problem and they say to Baba, you know, oh, I need your love. What is that? Actually, that's bhakti. If we're asking for something from Baba, it's not gyan. Gyan is to be soul conscious, to be in a state of love and connect with the ocean of love. That works. But just to kind of ask, it's like bhakti, and maybe it'll work if I'm lucky. Sometimes we experience God's grace, but it's not the science. And that's what's so wonderful about Raj Yoga. It's really a science, because if you apply the methods, you get the result. And so the method is to be soul conscious and connect with Baba. But then you might say, well, if I've got some problem, how can I be soul conscious? How can I connect with Baba? So that's where sometimes we need the company of the gathering, or even, you know, a close soul that we trust, that is honest, that is wise, that is Gyani soul, that we can, you know, just, not that they tell us what to do, but we can hear our own voice often when we speak to another. So this can also be helpful, but it can't be underlined enough how much we need to have the experience of Baba's love and my love for Baba as well. So that's really the first step. And based on that, then we can have faith. And what I liked very much when I came to Baba was the sentence that Baba said, make effort to have faith. So very often in bhakti, it's like you either have faith or you don't. But here, when we put the teachings to the test, when we start to follow Srimat and we see the results, when we have this relationship with Baba and see the results of that, how much we're able to bring transformation. Because I think, as you know, I was practicing Buddhism before Gyan, and I really still appreciate the teachings of Buddha and the way the teachings were shared about meditation. And I think Buddhists have developed meditation very well. So I still appreciate the Buddhist tradition. But for me, not having that higher power, not experiencing Baba's love, it was very difficult to change, because then I'm only drawing on my power. So my power's limited at the end of the cycle. How much can I expect to be able to achieve in my most Tamoprutan, iron-aged birth? I can't expect to achieve too much. But when there's that love for Baba, that's the other aspect of love. When you love someone, you love whatever they love, and you want, to really do whatever they want, because you trust that whatever they want you to do, it's for your benefit. So we know Baba's only telling us everything for our own benefit. So that faith is very important. Faith in Baba, faith in the self, and faith in others, because we also need to move along as a community. And a lot of people these days, they don't want to belong to any group, because often they just have a really hard time. And it's not always a good experience. And so if we have faith in each other, then we'll be able to move along more easily. And there's a saying that we always need to assume that the other person has a good intention. So maybe what someone's doing, it's not how I would do it. Perhaps I don't like it. But if I can first of all just assume that there's a good intention there, and then start from that space, I think this is the way to develop faith in others. And as we develop faith in others, they will grow. Just as Baba has faith in us, so we are growing. So in the same way, when we have faith in Baba, then we will grow. When we have faith in others, they will grow. So faith is really the second most important aspect. How do we know if we have faith? I remember one time Daddy Janki saying, the only effort we need to make is not to worry. Whenever we are worried, it's a sign of a lack of faith. And of course, Baba has said in the Avyakt Muli and the Muli of that day, yesterday, day before, he was saying that we have to have that, courage to have faith, and we need to really be able to stay cheerful. We need to be able to stay cheerful. And in a way, that's what it means, not to get worried, to be able to stay light. And in the Muli, Baba said on one occasion, he said, the only effort you have to make is to have the courage to stay light. So Daddy Janki says, the only effort you have to make is not to worry. And Baba says, the only effort you have to make is to have the courage to remain light. They're quite similar, really, but they're very good reminders of the most important things for keeping a light stage. And then, of course, the third step, surrender. Only when we have love and we have faith can we surrender. And it was said that you can make efforts for years and years and years, spiritual efforts. You can make efforts for years, or you can surrender. So if we're not surrendering, we probably won't go very far, and we certainly won't go fast. But surrender has a very deep meaning. It's not just giving up everything. It's about loving everything Baba loves, and then it's very easy. And you don't even have to think about it. Like most of us, we live this yogi life in such an easy way, but people outside say, oh, how can you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning? How can you go to class every day? How can you have this practice of being vegetarian, of not eating outside? So many things. You don't go to movies. You don't do this. You don't do that. For us, it's so easy because, you know, it's like we've chosen. This is another good line from the Murli. Baba says, always choose that which is higher. So this is in a way surrender, because if we go into that stage of man manabhav, if we connect our mind with God's mind, then we will choose that which is higher. And so this is also a very important part of the journey. And then, of course, the fourth thing I want to say, and especially for anyone who's new, you know, when we come to this path, often we just came out of curiosity, or we came to learn meditation, we came for a 7-day course, and then we feel attracted. But then we hear, oh, you have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you have to do this, you have to do that, be vegetarian, be celibate, all of these things. We feel, wow, this is a lot. So what I advise people when they first start on their journey is to follow your own conscience, because our conscience is the deepest aspect of our true self that we can still access. So we all have a conscience. However, the voice of conscience is often very hard to hear because there's so many other voices of society, of gurus, of teachers, of parents saying you should do this, you should do that. And sometimes those teachings conflict. But if we are able to listen to our own conscience, we actually know, we really know what we need to do for ourselves. And as Baba reminds us, this journey is not for anyone else. It's really for ourselves. We're the ones that are going to benefit the most. Of course, when we change, the world will change, but we are the ones that are going to attain the most, and others will, you know, be able to be liberated because of our effort. So if you haven't already developed a very good relationship with your own conscience, I suggest you listen to some classes, talk to your teachers, and really delve into what the conscience is. And together with the conscience is the intuition. And I think at this time in the cycle, the intuition is so important because many things are happening. As you know, I know Sri Lanka's been through a very, very, very difficult time. So we have to be able to intuit. We have to be able to know, you know, what to do in situations. And that goes quite closely with our conscience. But I would say the conscience is like the heart of the mind in a way, and the intuition is the heart of the intellect, because we can understand things with our intellect, but sometimes that's still limited because it's calculated. It's, you know, it's not the buddhi, which is a much deeper word than intellect. In English, we use the word nous. It's not a common word, but nous has a lot of depth and wisdom in it, N-O-U-S. It's a very deep word. And so we need to not just decide things with the intellect, but with the intuition. And Baba talks about touchings and catchings. So as we move into very difficult times, natural calamities, wars, you know, there's so much death. The death rate in the world apparently has already increased 13% in the last 2 years. So it's really quite a challenging time. So we need to be able to catch what is the right thing to do, to get that touching from Baba. And as you know, we don't have as many seniors as we used to have. And in those times of, like you saw during lockdown, it was not easy to come together to communicate. Of course, you could always use the telephone, but our next test, I think our next test will be that we'll have no connection, like, there'll be no wireless, there'll be no Wi-Fi, there'll be no Zoom, there'll be maybe no telephones. So where are we going to get our directions from? How will we know what to do in those times? So it's time for us all to be mature and to be advanced students. We started off as students and now it's time to be advanced students. So these are the 4 steps: love, surrender, faith, and learn to listen to your conscience and intuition together. Om Shanti. So do you have any questions, or will I keep speaking? What do you feel? Rami sister, do you want me to keep speaking, or do you want to have a few questions and interact? Or are you all in silence? Are you in silence?
Just give me few minutes. කවුරු හරි ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න කැමතිද? මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක්? අහනවා. Initially. There's one question for you, sister.
Yes.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Nice to meet you. I have one question. Do you please explain what is karma?
Okay, very important question. Very good. Yes. Okay, I can explain on
May I
that.
sit it?
It's very, very important to understand this deep philosophy of karma and not to forget it. Otherwise, we can often come into that very bad habit of blaming. Even if something has happened to me, if someone is defaming me, hurting me, it's not for no reason. I have karma with that soul. Maybe I gave sorrow in the previous birth, or maybe I have defamed someone, and that's why I am now being defamed. So when we understand karma, then we're able to do our inner work, knowing that it is our work. It's nothing to do with anyone else. And in fact, it's interesting that you asked this question, because I studied the language Indonesian when I was in school, and I learned about karma through studying Indonesian language because of Hinduism and Buddhism in Indonesia. And when I came to Gyan, I realized I wasn't looking for God in my life. I was looking for the understanding of why there is suffering, because I wanted to stop suffering and understand how to stop suffering, because I was aware, even from a young age, I think even primary school, I was aware of the suffering in the world. And I used to help children that had disabilities or younger children, because I always wanted people to be happy and to be okay. So when I understood the philosophy of karma, it was just the most amazing thing for me, because being brought up in Australia, there was no awareness of that. And so, of course, in essence, which you know, karma means action, but the law of karma is the law of action, which brings a reaction. So the cause and effect, Newton's third law, to every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so understanding this also, I need to do very elevated actions. And this also helps me to have a natural yogi life. Like Dadi Janki used to say, something like, she said, my life is only 10% effort. And she said something like 10% Baba's help, she said. And she said 80% is blessings, blessings from others, because she lived a life of giving, a life of benevolence, a life of service. So she really said herself that she really lived on people's blessings. So another way to make our life natural and easy is service, because it's just so natural to get blessings when we serve others. And we need to find whatever service we can do, even if we're elderly, even if we have a disability. I remember one sister saying to Baba asked her, when we used to have personal meetings, Baba asked her, do you do service? And she said, oh, Baba, my body is not good. And Baba said to her, how will your body become good if you don't do service? And so that's the saying in India, that they say, whatever you need, that's what you have to give. Because karmically, that's the result, right? Whatever you need, that's what you have to give. And that's why, you know, even if we give a little, if we don't have a lot of money, at least give something. It's important. It's very important, so that, you know, when we need, it will come to us. We don't do it with that aim, but it's the law. And we are living by spiritual laws. So this whole philosophy of karma is so important for everyone, not just for us. And I love to share about it.
Thank you, sister. Also, I just thought, as we have quite a number of new members for this Brahmin family at this retreat, just share a few points or a few daily routine and the importance of daily routine of a natural yogi life. How should we start the day? How should we spend the day? And how should we finish the day?
I think probably, you know, most of you have already heard that, you know, the guidelines for a very good yogi life. But what I would like to say is, when we follow these guidelines, they work. like here, I live in a retreat center, and I was in another retreat center before, and Didi Nirmala said, well, at least everyone has to come for morning class. If you don't come for Amrit Vela, it's okay. And we all said to Didi, no, Didi, if we don't do our Amrit Vela, we won't have the power to live in a retreat center, because a retreat center, you live with many people, there's a lot to do. So, you know, to be able to manage all of that, we need power. We don't need more sleep. Actually, we need power. And so getting up and sitting at 4 o'clock in the morning is the time to fill with power. And Baba says, if we're obedient, he will give us, well, not he will give, but the return of obedience is willpower. And you know, that's what we need more than anything else, the willpower, so that we can do whatever we will to do. So if I'm obedient, I will get this willpower to make my life easier. Because, you know, sometimes we want to do something, but we say, oh, I lack the willpower. I'm not able to do it. But, you know, following the Maryadas, you know, 4 o'clock meditating, and then the morning Muli class. And some of the people in our retreat center here, even though they're very experienced or long-term yogis, they are saying they're not getting really great meditation at 4 o'clock, sometimes sleepy, sometimes waste thoughts. So we have made a special effort here to have our half an hour meditation before the Muli, very powerful. So we have a understanding between us. There's 10, 12 people here living in the retreat center. So we asked everyone, please come on time. And if you can't come on time, just come in when the song is playing. So 5 minutes before. The rest of the time we have silence. And, you know, being able to be in that silence without any interruptions is really working for us. We love that time together. And you'll find that your mind is more prepared to absorb the Muli, the teachings, because it's quiet, it's receptive, it's having gentle, loving thoughts, you know, so it's really receptive at that time. And then, of course, you know, we do at least half an hour, at least 7 to 7:30, but most of us do 6:30 to 7:30 meditation. We have retreats, so sometimes it's hard, but that aim to have the yoga in the evening as well. But maybe you're working or studying and you can't keep to that timetable in the evening. You know, you have children, you have to cook, all of these things. So set aside your own time in the evening that you can have that time with Baba to close the day. You know, like when you come home from work, you know, there's the 6:30, 7:30, but if not, at least before you sleep, or, you know, if you're home in the house and everyone comes home after 4 o'clock, you do it 3 to 4. You just find the time that you can have quality, because we don't want to sit just out of discipline. We want to sit with that eagerness, I would say, a real eagerness for experience and fruition, that we get something from our meditation. And of course, not eating outside, it's such a big thing, because even you think you're eating vegetarian, it's very tricky. Anything can be in there. And of course, most people cook with garlic and onion, so that's another reason why it's so difficult. But I've experienced myself, you know, when even in the center, if someone's not in a good stage and they're cooking, it's not so good for us. So in Madhavan, it's always been the greatest yogis that were asked to be in the kitchen. So just a little on that.
Thank you, sister. තව කාට හරි මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද අහන්න? සිස්ටර්ගෙන් අහන්න ප්‍රශ්නයක්? මොනාරි පැහැදිලි කරගන්න තැනක් තියෙනවා නම් කාට හරි තියෙනවද? Okay, it seems everyone is satisfied. Mhm. So we'll have a few minutes of
Yeah.
meditation with a guided commentary by you.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay. We don't need any music. I think just silence is always beautiful. They say silence is golden. So let's just remember who I am. I am soul, and a soul is peace and love and power and bliss, just like Baba. Becoming soul conscious and becoming equal to Baba, like Baba, is the same journey. But having that love link with Baba, I'm able to really soften my sanskars, quieten the mind, and to live a carefree life, knowing that Baba is there. I'm no longer alone, having to face problems. Baba is the magician, the boatman, the gardener. Just think of times in your life when you have experienced the magic of Baba's power, Baba's love. And how at times of trouble, it's as if Baba was the boatman just carrying me along. And just look at our own lives and how we really are becoming flowers from thorns. This world is becoming a garden through us developing virtues. Oh, Baba, I'm really so fortunate to know you, to recognize you. And now all I want is to surrender to you completely. then there'll be no separation between us. We will be so alike. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you so much, sister, for really giving your time for our this special gathering. So let us all give a one hand clap to sister. So much thanks. And we are waiting to see you personally here too, in person.
Yes, one day.
Yeah.
Om Shanti. Lovely.
Om
Thanks for
Shanti.
inviting me. I'm really so happy to be with all of you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
प्यारे बाबा मीठे बाबा, प्यारे बाबा मीठे बाबा, एक तू ही तो है बस हमारा, तुझसे रोशन है सबका सितारा, एक तू ही तो बस है किनारा, प्यारे बाबा मीठे बाबा, प्यारे बाबा मीठे बाबा। मन में जो भाव तेरे लिए है, खुश हो के पुण्य किए हैं, मन में जो भाव तेरे लिए है, खुश हो के पुण्य किए हैं, तेरी बताई राहों को चुनकर खुशियों से वादे किए हैं, मैंने जो चाहा मिला है, अरमानों का गुल खिला है, जानता हूँ तू चाहे मुझको, दुआओं में रखना तू सबको, मुझको तो है तेरा सहारा।